Memory transcription subject. Chief Hunter ISIF. Arxa Dominion Sector Fleet. Date. Standardized human time. December 3rd, 2136. The Sol system underwent a serious overhaul since my last visit. Earth's defenses had been insufficient to ward off enemy vessels, and humanity wished to ensure such defeat never happened again. I marveled at the sheer manpower they must have dedicated to reconstruction. According to my sensor data, the humans placed habitats as far out as the Oort cloud. It was impossible to spot the roughshod stations on the viewport. Their super black paint absorbed almost all light, and their emissions were the only giveaway. A lesser mind might mistake the gravitational disturbances for an astronomical phenomenon. I would assume the UN mimicked our cloaked stations, but they couldn't have developed the technology so quickly. Terrans devised those blueprints on their own. Humans detected my ship among the icy fragments and nailed me with enough FTL disruptors to fry an army. Nimble fighters raced out to join me, taking up flank positions. Visual contact confirmed to Terran scouts that the incoming vessel was of Arxa make, but that didn't ease their suspicions. Perhaps they assumed the next Dominion visit wouldn't be on friendly terms. The Terran craft had me target locked and circled my ship with contemplative intent. Surely their generals realized that despite our solitary nature, our ships wouldn't venture off alone to attack. My mission was diplomatic in nature. I was debating how thoroughly to betray my people. There was also the issue of the 3 Zerulians who wouldn't come out when I left drinking water. They must be dehydrated and delirious by now. I hailed the cloaked habitat, hoping humanity wouldn't make any rash decisions. It was unclear if they'd appreciate the tip-off that their hideout wasn't undetectable. An honest appraisal seemed helpful by my standards, but it could also wound Terran pride. That concept meant more to the Dominion than Elias Meyer. However, Mingzhe Zhao was not as even keel.
You are trespassing in the Sol system, but you know that already.
A female human with a dust-colored bowl cut appeared on screen. I recognized her as General Jones, the drone program's lead.
To what do we owe the pleasure?
I bared my teeth. Humans do not wish to continue open relations. Have you forgotten what we did for you so soon?
We didn't expect the Arcs are back here keeping tabs on us. I know a warship when I see one, and I certainly don't like it gunning for Earth. Why do you feel entitled to roam our home system?
Because I'm Chief Hunter ISIF. You know, the single reason your species is still alive today. The one who gave you an army, sent food to your cities, pulled your dying from the rubble, and traded you the Venlil.
I see. My nation thanked you and housed you. That doesn't mean you're going to lord your aid over humanity forever. You must use proper diplomatic channels, like everyone else.
I've gone through your channels and received a dismissive statement from Zhao. That's unacceptable. I've earned some gratitude, if not respect.
What are you going to do? Sue us?
Malice glimmered in General Jones's eyes, and a defiant smirk tugged at her lips. Fury swelled in my chest, threatening to spill into a roar. I was able to contain it to a growl, but I couldn't believe what ingrates the humans were. The United Nations hadn't been this flippant with me in the past, even after Maya's death. Why the sudden hostility? I came to help humanity, but now, I don't know whether they deserve it. Perhaps there was some truth to Shaza's claim that the Terrans needed a kick in the teeth. If she took their bold-faced antagonism down a notch, that would be beneficial to my goals. Earth's government warranted a reminder of their precarious position. I was less certain that I could rely on their leaders than ever. Still, humans were the only predators who wanted to end sapient farming. Their lab-grown meat had the power to feed us and to weaken Betterment's grip on Arxa society. Terrans must see reason again when I reminded them we were on the same side. Maya understood how I defended humanity and kept Gizhnell off their back. Concern still hounded me over the 3 Zerulians hiding on my ship. I'd risked my cover on impulse, and I couldn't have them die after ferrying them here. It was worth brushing off the insult so that my defective voice would settle down. However, I'd like to hear General Jones issue an apology down the line. Her contemptful look was grating at my patience. I'm your only ally in the Dominion. The intelligence I can offer you is worth your time, I hissed. The primate cleared her throat.
You have something you want to share? Then spit it out.
I'll only speak to Zhao. I rule this entire sector. Your sector. I directly interact with our government and keep them off your backs. I deserve to look my equal in the eye. Yes?
Well, tough luck. The Secretary General is unavailable.
Then so am I. You haven't even forwarded the request to him. If your leader can't spare a minute on a call, I can't be bothered to share my thoughts.
I said he's unavailable. I will apprise Zhao of any intel you divulge to us.
I want a personal chat, human. Are you fucking dense? Jones slanted her eyebrows.
How dare...
How dare you? I roared. If it was important, if I was Tava, Zhao would make time. Hell, Tava herself was more diplomatic than you people. The UN fighters still coasted alongside me, and I barely refrained from target-locking them. I was mistaken to think of humanity as a friend. They would always consider us second class to the prey. The option to storm off and communicate with Vendel Prime instead grew more appealing by the minute. If the Terrans hadn't disrupted my FTL capabilities, I would have left in a huff. There was no logical reason the humans would confront an Arxer ally and spit in his face. Perhaps their vengeance had driven them mad. It was clear they were obsessed with Sol's military defenses. Another possibility was that this American general was superseding the chain of command. She could be seeking to claim my intel for her nation alone. Was that it? Was Jones shutting Zhao out of the loop as a power play? Coups weren't unheard of back when unrest plagued Riss. Rulers could change by the week. The drone mastermind might resent that she was snubbed for Secretary General in favor of a general from a rival state. Undermining Zhao's regime would fashion the Americans as an appealing alternative. The ostensible status was that humans quieted all clannish tendencies under threat of extinction. The United Nations supposedly helped them work together against aliens, but I wasn't sure Earth's tribes had laid old grudges to rest. General Jones tapped a few buttons before sitting in silence for a minute.
Be careful what you wish for, Isif. The Secretary General will speak with you.
I was a bit relieved that the American-led forces hadn't done anything rash. Humans were bold enough to try to capture me and convince me to talk through other means. From what I read on my holopad, their interrogation methods could surpass even Arxer creativity. If I'd shared those tidbits with Gisnell, he'd respect their cruelty. A human male appeared on screen, dressed in formal attire. His skin was warm and tan, while his hair was styled as a black crew cut. Forehead wrinkles indicated he was middle-aged, likely with several decades in the service. Anger oozed from his taut grimace. Even his shoulders were forward, asserting dominance. Mr. Secretary General, it's an honor. I forced a placid expression and dipped my head. I intended for us to meet much sooner. A shame, yes? Zhao's expression didn't change.
Well, you have my full attention now. I suppose that is what you wanted.
It is? That American general was stalling me from contacting you. I fear she may be watching out for her national interests at your world's expense.
General Jones and I have an understanding. National interests mean nothing with human interest under constant threat. That threat is extinction, and it pays no mind to borders. We cannot afford squabbles.
But Jones would not pass along my call.
Because I told her not to. I was already listening the entire time, you know.
My eyes narrowed with outrage, and I lashed my tail. This Secretary General would blow me off when I came to Sol to protect his forces. For pack predators with ubiquitous empathy, they had a lousy way of showing it. Who was I kidding to think humans would help defective Arxer? Dominion rebellion meant nothing to their self-oriented agenda. I knew Terrans still cared about the Venlil like their own pack. The new Secretary General also loaded the other races that aided Earth, yet sported contempt for the Arxer. Furthermore, they launched new exchange programs with the Yortul and Zerulians, while welcoming defecting herbivores to their alliance. The ever-patient humans found the resolve to train the quaking prey. To my amazement, those efforts were getting results. Obligate carnivores just aren't convenient to their new empire. Is that it? Or maybe they cannot forgive our crimes. I gritted my teeth. What have I ever done to you? I helped you and asked for nothing in return. I could have conquered Earth, but I treated you as equals.
That's the only reason I haven't ordered Jones to capture you, Isif.
Zhao said.
With what we know today, you're no friend of humanity. Listen carefully and tell your boss. We are not supporting agendas that go against our interests.
What are you talking about? Our interests are the same.
We both know that's not true. You are adamant about Thal and Siris being glassed, and humanity following your every command. We are not your puppets.
What? You've gone mad, Zhao. The Dominion knows you are weak, and they won't tolerate your interference. I'm trying to keep weak predators alive into the future.
Weak? We are not weak. We are young and growing exponentially.
I hissed in exasperation. Then give yourselves time to grow. Thal and Silis do not help your human-first agenda, am I right?
It's about the principle of encouraging our enemies to surrender. Besides, if we forked over the Tillfish and the Hatchin worlds without a fight, it would cement this human weakness in your minds. I will not set that precedent. The Aksha shall respect us.
Secretary General Zhao cast an unwavering glare at the screen. As much as I wanted to unload on him, my departure from Sol required humanity lifting their FTL disruptors. Securing a ride out might require groveling. Politeness was mandatory for my request to leave. But at this point, I had no intent of passing along Shaz's plans to Earth. It felt like a betrayal that the UN would dismiss my high-risk friendship with humanity. How could Terrans say that our interests weren't aligned unless they were unwilling to help us? I thought we both sought a better future and a change in the Ark's government. My defective voice wanted the hominids to like me and accept me as one of their peers. A delirious scream echoed behind me, and my head whipped around. One of the Zerulians had climbed atop a table in the camera's backdrop. It was the one who'd been crying in the cage, though she looked worse for wear. Her lips were dry from dehydration, and her eyes were half closed with fatigue. I could see desperation glitter in her pupils.
Human! Help us! Please!
She croaked in a ragged voice. The Secretary General leaned forward in his chair, and his eyes widened with alarm. His jaw clenched shortly after as he recognized the Zerulian's paltry condition. While I appreciated that Zhao loathed our cattle practices, the quadruped's deterioration wasn't my fault. I'd risked my hide to rescue them, and I had provided for them. Was I supposed to flush them out at gunpoint to drink water?
So that's why there are 4 life signatures on your ship.
The Terran's voice was low and charged with fury. I noticed his hands typing at a holopad, likely communicating with Jones's forces.
You're using our friends as bargaining chips. You commit acts of terrorism in the Sol system.
I shook my head. It's not like that. I brought them here so you could send them home.
Yeah, right. Conveniently forgot to mention their presence, huh? Is that your food for this week? Filthy crock.
That's it. I will fucking rip you limb from limb, you puny branch swinger. I will carve out your itsy-bitsy canines and embed them on my armor as a prize.
You won't be doing anything. I was planning to catch and release you, but you're better taken out of the equation. The United Nations will be bringing you into custody, ISIF.
I tried to attempt evasive maneuvers, but the UN blew out my propulsions with a single hit. My weapons system was malfunctioning, and I found the glitch rather coincidental. The Terran fighters flanking me used mechanisms to latch onto my hull seamlessly. Sparks flew behind me as humans began breaching into the cabin. The Zerulians bounded up to the noise, yipping for aid. The world took on a red hue, and anger overflowed into my consciousness. Feeling the need to attack something, I swung my claws at the dashboard. Electricity arced through the air as I tore a chunk of metal out of the pedestal. Adrenaline led me to blindly throw the debris, and it nearly landed atop the Zerulians. Realizing I'd almost harmed them snapped me back to lucidity, though I was still steaming. Why is Zhao doing this? I was a valuable asset to him from a logistical standpoint. The Secretary General leaned into another holopad.
This is a high-value prisoner. Bring him in alive. I want to know what he knows.
You're making a mistake, I roared. Why are you doing this?
For one, you've learned too much about Earth's revamps. The element of surprise is important if worst comes to worst. An enemy chief hunter can't ruin that for us.
Enemy? Maya knew I'm not your enemy. We want the same fucking thing, Zhao.
Maya was naive. He couldn't see an enemy if they were holding him at gunpoint.
I curled my lip with disdain. You don't believe I'm an ally just because I'm an Arxer.
No. I don't believe you're an ally because we've obtained the AXA reports, including Shaz's partial transcript of your visit.
I leaned back on my haunches. Understanding dawned on me as I realized that the United Nations had tapped into our communications network. Meyer understood how I played things up for effect, but that knowledge hadn't been passed on to his successor. Perhaps my acting was a bit too superb if it fooled the very people I was protecting. My offense over Terran aggression was gone once there was some basis for their behavior. This was all a misunderstanding. It should be easy for me to clear things up. Of course Earth wouldn't welcome someone who claimed to be using them in a war. It didn't help that I insulted Zhao in my speech, though such rhetoric was tailored for a different audience. What is it you think I said? I hissed.
I'm using humans to make the Dominion the supreme unchallenged power. Oh, what about this one? The UN are clueless to our aims because Zhao is blind and on the warpath.
You can't take that at face value. Read between the lines. You're intelligent. I was trying to talk Shaza down. She wants to nuke your prizes, with your forces still there.
We know that. And we know your rationale against an attack was, not yet, save our strength.
A metallic section of the wall toppled inward, and Terran soldiers stalked inside. The primates almost tripped over the Zerulians, who ran toward their entry point. The humans rounded on me in formation, wearing goggles over their eyes. After a moment's hesitation, I sunk to my knees and raised my paws in surrender. Why would you tell me you know all this? You're tipping your hand, I growled. The Secretary General sported a malevolent grin.
Because you are never going to tell your people any of it.
A dart embedded itself in my neck, and I plucked it out on instinct. My head felt a bit woozy before I lost my balance. The humans crept closer, readying more sedatives in case the dosage was inadequate. My eyes fluttered and my vision shrank to a pinhole. There was no hope of talking my way out of this situation. And it wasn't the Dominion who did me in like I imagined. My undoing was assisting alien predators who never planned for me to leave the Sol system again.